Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Joe Mauk with C3 Technology Advisors. I'm one of a few engineers that we have over here, and I specialize in unified communications, contact center, and SD-WAN. So for you guys on the call, that means basically that I spend my entire day looking at these platforms. I work with partners like Zoom to understand what their offering is today, what it's going to be tomorrow, and then 3 weeks from now. And I work with customers like yourself to make sure that we're getting you the best solution that you need going forward. Perfect. So who is C3? Well, we're a better way of buying technology, to be honest. We're a truly agnostic firm with a laser focused on cloud solutions like cybersecurity and SD-WAN, contact center, infrastructure as a service, and things like UCaaS like we're discussing today. We have our finger on the pulse for emerging technologies and can help gather your business criteria, which greatly reduces the amount of time your team would spend determining who the right vendor is. What that means to you is we don't really care what vendor you pick in the end, as long as it's the right vendor. And I think we have an agenda. Yeah. So going back, if you could go back real quick, Trevor. Thank you. So how do we make sure that you have the right vendor? We use research and analysis. We have proprietary tools that we can use to help determine the right vendor. And quite honestly, because I do this on a daily basis, along with my account managers, we know what the customers got for pricing for the last 15 times for companies your size. So we really can understand where you guys need to come in for a price point, what features and functionalities you guys need. And we have demo accounts with all of these platforms. So we can really show you the differences between each and every platform. But we're really happy to have one of our better partners with Zoom here today. So if you can go to the next slide. So without further ado, I'll hand it off to Ken and Adam and let them take it from here.
Joe, thank you very much. Just a bit about myself. So my name is Ken Westerman. I am the channel SE for the Master Agents. I am currently based in Boston, and I've got about including Zoom now, about 14 years of experience in the UCaaS space. And I'm excited to talk with you guys today about some of the things that Zoom is doing. I'll let Adam introduce himself next.
Yeah, thanks, Ken. Adam Bir, Zoom phone specialist. I am based in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and I'm a dedicated resource for Zoom phone for partners like C3. So we really appreciate everyone taking time out of their day to learn more about Zoom, our platform, Zoom phone, and then the wonderful partnership that we have with C3.
Agreed. So I thought we could start with just, what's happening in the world, right? So, I mean, pandemic aside, work styles are starting to change in our community, right? People, and this is a survey that Zoom got from Forrest, I believe, but it's, 91% of the people surveyed say that technology influences their job choices among similar offers. 80% say they want to work with cutting edge technology, and 90% prefer to choose their location. So, what's that telling Zoom, right? That's telling us as a company that, we need to ensure that we're taking the time to understand what customers are looking for every day. Zoom, if you were part of Zoomtopia, or you had a glance at all of Zoomtopia, which happened 2 weeks ago, you would have seen that Zoom is continuing to be that cutting edge, innovative company that we've been for the last 9 years, with bringing new cutting edge technology in our meetings, phone, webinar, everything to the forefront. And again, with 90% choose their location they want to work, that means to us that people don't really want to go to the office as much anymore. And I think with the pandemic, it's shown that people can work literally from anywhere, whether that's their living room, a home office, a regular office, a Starbucks cafe, wherever you happen to be, people are looking for those choices. And the next slide kind of talks more about that. And that's preparing for the future, right? Zoom is starting to think about what is the future? How are we going to find this new talent? What are these people going to be looking at? And, another survey that we took, was that by 2027, 51% of the US workforce will be freelance. That's a massive number of people who aren't probably going to be working for your company directly on the payroll. They're going to be kind of coming and going. And 50% of knowledge workers will work away from the corporate office. And again, that's telling us things like gosh, where are they going to be sitting, right? Again, that could be at some kind of a shared workspace like WeWork. That could be in their home. That could be in an office. That could be at a vacation home somewhere in Vail, right? Skiing away while they're working, right? And these are things that Zoom is starting to really think about when it comes to what technology are we trying to push out to our customer base and to our partners.
And can you bring up a point here with that 50% of knowledge workers being away from the corporate office? We're no longer meeting in boardrooms or conference rooms to have these meetings. We're using platforms like Zoom to collaborate. And one of the questions that came in from the participants is, how is Zoom securing their platform so that these remote workers are secure?
I think, if we take a step back, right? I'm sure everybody heard about the Zoom bombing incidences that happened in the beginning of, April, May timeframe, right? And if you think about what happened, our enterprise customers, as they're using Zoom, are pretty secure, right? They understood what it took to secure their meeting, to secure their Zoom rooms and their webinars. And fortunately or unfortunately, when the pandemic broke out, Zoom became this household name, and people were using Zoom to talk with their grandkids and do yoga classes and whatever else they were having to do on Zoom. And so people started to post those things on instant, social media and whatever else. And people were nefarious and took advantage of that. Well, Zoom took it upon themselves to, stop production for 90 days. And we said, let's focus on security. And so we acquired a company during that time called Keybase to help us with end-to-end encryption. So meetings like this can now be fully end-to-end encrypted. But we did other things too to help with the front-end pieces, right? We enabled waiting rooms, as you guys saw as you were joining this meeting today. We enabled passcodes. We enabled domain information on different things. But also in meeting settings, we give now the host or the admin different security options, right? Trevor now could lock this meeting. A lot of people joining the meeting. He could put people out of the meeting. He could kick them out. He can report users. He can control the recordings and do different things from muting people to muting their video as well. And so, Joe, we took a lot of pride, but also ate some crow along the way and said, okay, maybe we didn't think about every single user. And so we started doing a bunch of things around just making it easier for people to use Zoom, but also to make it more seamless for them to actually secure the as well.
Awesome, thanks, Ken. And just for the guys on this call, I did put a URL in the chat where you can go out and take a look for yourself what Zoom is doing for privacy and security. So feel free to click on that link after the meeting and take a look for yourself.
Definitely. And so as Zoom keeps looking through, right, we keep talking to more and more companies about what do they need from Zoom. And we heard, recently, some of the top 5 challenges that are kind of facing companies. And, one of those challenges are keeping the employees highly engaged, right? As you're hiring people and talent, how do you ensure that they want to come to work every day, not just to come to your job, but to use the tools that are afforded to them at this job? Digital talent can be located anywhere. If I look at Zoom itself, I'm in Boston, Samantha's in Chicago, Adam's in Minneapolis. I have a counterpart in the UK. We're kind of across the globe now. We're becoming a much more global, globalized economy. For flexible work, for greater work-life balance, I think people now with the pandemic are experiencing that they literally can work from anywhere. And that means maybe like me sometimes, getting up at 6 a.m. and working, going to CrossFit and then some do things now. And we have the opportunity to do that. You want that within your workday. Leveraging contractors and freelancers is going to be massive. If you think about what the last stat was by 2027, well, that's right around the corner, right? That's only 7 years from now or 6 years from now. That's going to be here before you know it. And it's accommodating, dynamic work groups and work styles, whether they're hoteling or hot desking or co-working. I personally believe that the days of big, massive offices are going to be going away. And so maybe you can consolidate that, but that means that, possibly Samantha and I are sharing a desk where she's in 2 days, I'm in 2 days. Well, how do you manage, that kind of lifestyle and work style? And I think our next slide kind of shows, how Zoom is managing those things. And that's through our communications platform tool. Zoom is this world-class, frictionless, unified collaborations platform. I think people are, think now we're kind of synonymous with the meeting side of things with offering voice and PSTN, but we're so much more than just meetings, right? We're also a cross-platform group messaging tool with an incredibly robust chat platform. We're also offering, as Adam will talk to you more about, a soft phone and cloud-based PBX structure that allows you to, migrate your telephony system into the cloud, a part of Zoom's application. We also offer an incredibly robust developers platform with APIs and SDKs on the back end. And again, if you were part of Zoomtopia, you heard now Zaps, which now we're allowing additional applications to be embedded right into the Zoom application. And then of course, conference room solutions as well.
Yeah, and Ken, one thing that is missing from here is Microsoft Teams. As you talk about people moving remote, everybody is using Microsoft. So a lot of times enterprises initially look to Teams as a solution. Can you speak to where maybe you guys might have some inner workings with that platform?
Sure. So if I look at like what our developer platform looks like, right, we have in our app marketplace integrations into Teams today. So today there is a bot you can install into Teams to launch your Zoom meeting. And then also coming in the very near future, we have the ability to also cross-launch the Zoom application from the Teams chat application. So, whether you're one-on-one chatting, one-on-many chatting, or simply want to find someone in your Active Directory to reach out to and call, you have the ability to do that from Teams. And so, Zoom is viewing this kind of as a collaboration with Teams, right? We're allowing the customer to have the best in breed in Microsoft Teams for that inner office communication. But as customers think about how do they want to communicate with the outside world, outside of their office, they look to the best in breed. And most people are realizing and seeing that Teams, while they have a small offering with Skype and their telephony system, you can use the best in breed in Zoom and launch the Zoom application for both meetings, and soon, again, in the next couple of weeks, actually, cross-launch the Zoom application for the telephony side as well.
Awesome. Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, and again, it's because we're one unified application, right? Zoom to date has had one acquisition, as I mentioned, and that was from a security standpoint for end-to-end encryption. Outside of that, though, Zoom has built our application from the ground up over the last 9 years. We fully own the stack from top to bottom, which allows us to seamlessly make and receive phone calls, seamlessly share content, participate in video meetings, direct group messaging, but also to seamlessly elevate from chatting with, Joe, to a phone call with Joe, to a meeting with Joe, to walking into a conference room and then sharing, content with Joe who's sitting somewhere else and me in the office space. And because we own that, we need to, as we did back in April, stop production for 90 days and focus on one thing, which was security, and then literally pivot at that 91st day and start doing more releases to help our product out again. So, our application through and through. And part of that also comes into play with our architecture. I spent many years at a competitor before I came to Zoom, and I think the competitor did a great job of leveraging the traditional way of delivering, media to their customer base. But Zoom took a very different approach, and Zoom said, let's while the traditional way is good, let's do it better. And so, we look at things like a distributed network. So now, as you're joining a meeting or a telephone call, you're on the public internet till you get to one of our first hops. And from there, you're privately backbone to wherever that call or meeting are happening. We also looked at the multimedia routing and the multi-bit rate encoding a little bit differently. And as opposed to trying to transcode and process in the cloud, we said, why not let the applications do that themselves? And so we push down the information. We get the information, we process it, but we're pushing it straight down without having to transcode anything on, within the cloud itself, which helps reduce, resiliency or improve resiliency and increase that scalability of the application itself moving down. And while network quality of service is still incredibly important, people working at home now, and we know that's going to become more and more the norm, they're not going to have QoS most likely on their home network. And so we need to think about what does that look like. And so for Zoom, we add an application layer quality of service. Now the application itself is actually making changes kind of on the fly for reducing your audio or your video, letting you know if things are going horribly wrong with that call, right? They shut your video off for you. So it knows that our compression technology, which up to 45% packet loss is allowed, what's actually happening. And so the application is making those determinations for us. And that's all due, again, to the back-end architecture and reliability and scalability that Zoom brings to the tool itself. Again, I mentioned our compression technology, which allows 45% packet loss. We also offer a 4.9 SLA across our whole platform, across all of our products. And we're also an active architecture for meetings, but also for our phones. But for meetings, that means literally no interruption of service. It's a full redundancy. This meeting started most likely on our Denver data center. if there was an issue in Denver, we'd fail over to our New York data center or New Jersey data center, and you wouldn't know the meeting hopped from our data center itself. The application is just that seamless and easy to use. And that's why I think Zoom is positioned to kind of tackle what we're seeing in the industry around remote workers, freelance workers, and the ability to help HR retain and find that proper talent. And with that, I'll turn it over to Adam now to kind of talk about more about what Zoom Phone is and kind of how it's tackling the problems of our customer base as well.
Absolutely. Next slide. I think, Ken, I think you touched on, some of this architecture and the reliability and scale. And I think it's important for everyone to realize that we do have reliability. We do have redundant data centers, like meeting services are, have availability of 4 nines up to 5 nines. And this is not only in our meetings platform, but across the entire Zoom platform, whether it be our phone, chat, meetings, webinar, rooms. So everything built on that single architecture that Ken talked about is backed by these SLAs. Next slide. So the vision at Zoom has always been about a frictionless type of communications, and recently we've completed this with a frictionless, what we call video first unified communications. And in order to have a true unified communications platform, the one area that Zoom hasn't had in the past is Zoom Phone. So we've always been known for reliable meetings, for webinar, now with chat, our Rooms product, but Phone is really the last piece that enables us to have that true unified communications platform. And just like C3 believes in a frictionless communication with their, with the customers like you all, when you work with C3, we're the same with our customers. We want our customers to be able to use whichever device they want, whether it be their mobile device, a desk phone, a Mac, a PC, and then be able to communicate however they want across that platform. So because of the architecture, because of that one platform that Ken talked about, I'm able to be on a phone call with Joe, and Joe, hey, I need to share content. Let's move to a meeting. We move directly into a meeting. I'm in a chat. Hey, Joe, let's jump on the phone. I instantly can move that chat to a meeting. I can be walking down the hallway in the office on a phone call, move that phone call into a Zoom room. And that's all available because of the one platform and this one application, like Ken mentioned. So if you see here, the application that you're in today, Zoom meetings, or that you might be using, that your employees might be using today, Zoom Phone is now embedded directly into that one application. So I'm able to make and receive phone calls just like you would from your premise provider, able to share content, whether that be one-on-one content or one-to-many in our chat platform, able to participate in those meetings that you're used to, the webinars that you might be hosting, and then again, being able to elevate those phone calls across the platform. And if you see here, the mobile device looks exactly the same. So what this does is it gives your users the ability, whether they're in the office or when we're getting back on the go a little bit more. Lately, we haven't traveled as much, but you get that seamless feel between the different applications, whether you're on an iOS, an Android device, if you want to manage your meetings, if you want to make your phone calls, you're able to do that across those devices. So it makes it really simple for your users to adopt the technology. And I think, and Joe, you and I talk about this a lot. It's expensive to bring new applications into the workforce. Software can be expensive, and then if customers, users don't adopt it and they're not using it, then you're really not seeing the ROI. So having a software, like Zoom and the entire platform that users, obviously down to my 9-year-old daughter's on a Zoom meeting today, right now, she could use Zoom Phone. So it becomes very simple to use. It spreads across your organization. And then the other thing this architecture does in this one platform, and I think it's important to remember from an IT administrative perspective. So next slide. Being able to manage this system, I know there's quite a few folks on the call today that you probably manage a Cisco system or an Avaya or Mitel, some of that traditional on-premise infrastructure. And it once you learn it, it's okay, but it can be cumbersome as it becomes outdated. It's difficult. And now you're managing, you become IT telephony, you're managing your phone system. Now you have to manage your rooms, and now you have to manage meetings, and you have to manage your security and your SD-WAN. So you have a lot of different tools that you're using as an IT admin. And now with Zoom, you're able to take all those types of communications that we offer, and we have one administrative portal. So just like a user has that one application, our admins have the same thing. So if you're managing Zoom meetings today, it's the exact same application that you're able to, to manage the Zoom infrastructure across your entire organization, anywhere, actually across the world. So, and then the other thing that we give you as an admin that if you're not familiar is our analytics platform. So as an admin on the account, whether it's meetings, chat, webinar, phone, we give admins into every single critical piece of analytics on our platform. You can literally look at meetings that are live in real time. We give you active MOS scores, which is a mean opinion score for your phone users. So, today when somebody potentially has an issue with the phone system, they're calling into IT. You may open a ticket with Verizon or whoever your legacy provider is. It's a cumbersome process, and at the end of it, you really never quite figure out. Maybe the problem gets fixed, but you really don't know what happened. So we give you the analytics as an IT team to where you can troubleshoot those issues. You can see if somebody had bandwidth issues, if Adam, the end user, didn't have a good headset. We give you those metrics across the entire platform. So the IT folks that are using it really like it. And then obviously we're here in the US. Oh, go ahead.
I just want to jump in real quick on that last slide. So I just want to point out the fact is that Zoom's interface, whether you're talking about admin or the end user interface, is so clean and easy to understand. And I think, Adam, one of the major things that people don't take into consideration when you're looking at cost is employee cost. Having happy employees that have the technology that they can easily understand and use makes for a happy employee. If you can reduce your turnover on employees, the time it takes to train and bring somebody up to speed on business processes because you're giving them the tools that they need, there's a huge cost savings in that a lot of enterprises don't take into consideration.
Yeah, that's a good point. And we do have, some really helpful tutorials, Joe, for our customers when it comes to Zoom. But especially with Zoom Phone, I will say the nice thing is it's, I can use the correlation to an iPhone. You don't get a manual. Yeah. It just shows up. When Zoom Phone, for the average employee, it's there. They know how to use it. So yeah, that adoption is really fast. So and so here gives you an idea of Zoom Phone, again, launched just under 2 years ago to complete that frictionless platform. Obviously services here in the US. If you're a global organization, making that migration to the cloud from, say, again, a legacy infrastructure can be difficult. Zoom Phone is now available in over 40 countries from a native perspective. And by that, we mean being able to get phone numbers, port phone numbers in different countries. This is an area where a lot of what we'll call unified communications providers have struggled in traditionally throughout the year. So we are in 40 countries where we can do that. We offer emergency services, and we are constantly growing due to our customer size. And outside of these 40 countries, that, again, we look at that migration. If you made a migration to Zoom meetings, and then now you're going to migrate to Zoom Phone, and you have offices that maybe are outside of where we have this native service, it's always been a pain point. What do we do? How do we get those employees to be able to, extension dial? How do we get them on the same interface? And we do have those deployment options available, and we work with C3 on those through some different types of equipment, through SBCs and things of that nature. So we really work with C3 and our customers pre-sales on, okay, it's one thing to migrate here in the US or in one of our, these dark blue countries, but how do we help someone in one of these, how do we help an office in one of these other countries? And we design those solutions so that we give you a good migration path. So a lot of expansion in this area, again, due to the one platform, due to the size of the customers that we have. You'll continue to see our international map get darker and darker as time goes on.
Yeah, and Adam, I can tell you from my experience, for having a phone system for about a year now, you guys have increased your global footprint faster than any other UCaaS vendor out there. You've really, gone to the top as far as the number of countries that are natively available, and obviously with your BYOC offering as well, where you can bring in your own carrier. It's amazing the speed that you guys are going. And I do want to interject because we do have a question that could kind of tie into this, but as far as the end of 2021 or 2020 to 2021? What's on the roadmap for you guys?
So as far as, when it comes to, there's a lot on the meeting side. I'll obviously stick to phone. So we're on one of them right now. So further international expansion. And the reason for that is, we have customers we have, worldwide global brands that are on meetings that are demanding, these countries. So you'll continue to see this. Teams integration version 1 is coming out in November. That's been a big ask from our existing customers. So you'll see version 1 in November, and then that will continue to evolve as certain APIs open up from Microsoft. And then some areas around 911, we do now offer what they call nomadic 911. That can be important in larger organizations with campuses, where you're able to tie in 911 based on a floor or a campus building. And then we're able to tie 911 we're working on tying that into digital signage. So first responders can see digital signage, safety response teams internally. We see with, companies coming back to work, coming back into the office, 911 is not going to be the same as it was. And so we're trying to get out in front of that. So there's a lot of innovative things that we're doing around 911. From a more feature standpoint, Joe, I think we have a lot of feature parity. We do have over 400 features on Zoom Phone, so I think there's a few odds and ends there that you'll continue to see. And then I think the last thing is just continuing to close the platform, and by that I mean get phone in even tighter from that integration with Zoom Rooms and with Zoom Meetings. So as seamless as we can make that for our customers, you'll continue to see advancements in that area.
Perfect. And just for the participants, I did throw out a URL for Zoom's E911 capabilities. So make sure to check out the chat and grab that link for yourselves. It's another great video that you can watch on your own.
Yeah, thank you. So that's the digital signage that I was talking about, Joe. And just to be clear, that the 911 going up on digital signage is in beta, so it's not available today. But I wanted people to get an understanding of, like you said, forward thinking, where are we looking ahead, and that's one of the areas. So
awesome.
Excellent. Absolutely. So in summary for Zoom Phone, I mean, we've kind of said it 100 times here, that architecture, that one platform that we have. Like Ken mentioned, the only acquisition that we've done here at Zoom is Keybase, which was for end-to-end encryption. I wasn't buying another phone company, wasn't buying a chat company. Everything's on that platform. Because of that, we are able to show some of these features, talk about our roadmap, and we're able to innovate very quickly. As Joe mentioned, we do a lot of releases. Currently, we're running monthly, so every single month new features come out. On the phone side, especially, those features just get added into the platform. Usually the same with meetings, where there's no additional cost for our customers. So our customers love seeing these updates every month, and they love being a part of our roadmap and see what's up and coming. And then we constantly deliver on that because we have the architecture in that one platform. So when our customers see roadmap and then in 2 to 3 months it becomes a reality, it's really reassuring and refreshing and exciting to be a part of the Zoom family. Again, over 400 features for UCaaS. So if you're thinking about your legacy infrastructure that you have, and maybe you have an upcoming project, a lot of people think Zoom Phone is new. It's not. It's robust, and it's being used by some of the companies you see here on the right. We have some of the top, Fortune 1 company using Zoom Phone. So we have a lot of experience in the enterprise space, and then also down all the way into SMB. So there isn't a vertical that we don't play in as well when it comes to Zoom Phone. So if you're a manufacturing company, a school, a hospital, there's a lot that we can do in every different vertical. So definitely keep that in mind. We talked about 40 countries, how to deploy, how to manage that migration. We work with C3 to help you, move from on-prem to the cloud. If you're not familiar with Zoom pricing, when we get into that stage, we try to keep it extremely simple, just like our platform for our customers. We don't charge a lot of extra fees and things that other providers charge. And we try to keep our costs extremely transparent, so it's a smooth process. And then we talked about tying in with existing hardware. If you have a Cisco system and a Avaya system, how do you make that migration? It can be very painful, and we have a lot of experience in how you can keep some of that infrastructure in place as you're making that migration. And then we do have an open platform, as Ken touched on. So we tie in with quite a few different contact center providers, different hardware providers, so that there's a lot to Zoom Phone, a lot to the entire Zoom platform. So I think a good takeaway is if there was something you saw today, whether it be what are we going to do with our conference rooms? How are we going to hold our next webinar? Or, our phone contract is coming up next year. Didn't realize that Zoom has phone. How can we take advantage of this platform? I urge you, reach out to C3. They're a fantastic partner of ours. We've been working with them for a long time. We work on a lot of projects with them. They carry every single one of the products that we talked about today. And the real value there is they help understand your situation, your network, and your environment better than we're going to be able to offer. So a lot of value in getting a hold of C3. They will contact Zoom. They'll get a hold of some of our experts. They can schedule demos for you, or just get you a one-on-one meeting to have maybe a deeper dive on any one of the products that we have. And the team at C3, we appreciate you guys having us on today, and we're here to help answer any questions. And hopefully everyone was able to pick up a couple nuggets today about Zoom, where we're at today, and where we're headed in the future.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks, Adam. And Ken, thank you very much for your part as well. We really appreciate it. And again, here's our contact information. So please reach out to us. We'll take a few minutes here. If there's any questions from the participants, feel free to unmute yourself, or you can chat in the chat box. And if not, then we will pass it over to Taylor and Samantha from Zoom for our Spook-tacular giveaway.